Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for doing this hearing. I think it's really an important one. We're going to hear some interesting testimony for our witnesses. We all appreciate you being here and sharing your wisdom with us, how we can connect America better. We all know that the internet has truly transformed the lives of people throughout the world. It plays a central role in how Americans conduct business, how we interact, how we make daily decisions. Under a light touch regulatory framework, the internet has really thrived, providing Americans access to numerous services, serving as the single most important driver of economic growth and job creation. While the internet has been largely adopted in a relatively short span of time, if you think about human history and the enormous revolution the internet's brought, there are still millions of Americans who do not have access to the internet in their homes, as you're hearing from all of us, and especially those of us who represent these big, sweeping, wide-open rural districts, but it's also an issue in urban cities as well. In some cases, it's because high-speed broadband has not been deployed, an issue this committee's focused on in a bipartisan way for many years. And while we have made progress in promoting broadband deployment, particularly in rural areas, we all know there are many Americans who remain unconnected, even if they do have access to broadband service options. Recognizing this issue, some companies have made important strides over the last decade to connect millions of low-income households to high-speed broadband. For example, the Internet Essentials program, developed by one service provider, offers high-speed broadband at an affordable price, and they've seen great success. It has connected 8 million people in over 2 million households, more than I dare say a federal program would likely achieve in the same period of time. It provides opportunity and access for low-income individuals. We must make sure that our policies allow for continued experimentation in the marketplace with ways to promote broadband adoption as well. It should be noted that where there are gaps in adoption, state and local governments have also been a big part of the team and have provided good work to support and reach out to their communities. They have firsthand knowledge of the challenges their communities face, and we work with their resources. They have to find creative solutions. I'm excited to have witnesses here today that can talk about some of the innovative work that's being done at the local level to address the adoption issue. I think it's an important one. But let us not put the cart before the horse. In many parts of the country, especially frontier communities like those in Eastern Oregon, broadband availability remains elusive. Recently, we were in John Day, my staff and I, doing some meetings, and it's in the really central part of my district in a pretty isolated area. I think the nearest stoplight's 5 hours away or something. Not making that up, by the way. They had really limited internet service and intermittent internet service. And just to put it in perspective, when we finished our meetings, we decided we better gas up before we left town. And we had to pay with cash because the internet was down. They couldn't process the credit cards. More of an inconvenience, yes. Good thing we had cash. But it's no way to do business. And we've been working with the USDA and others to get some money in there and figure out the various problems. It's only been a decade since broadband deployment has exploded into an everyday necessity. And without first addressing the lack of broadband availability, any federal resources put forward for broadband adoption could further enlarge the digital divide if not done carefully. Obviously, we still have issues with mapping that various FCCs have wrangled with for decades, and we're all trying to get it right. To be sure, today's hearing will hopefully bring data to the discussion so we can get a better understanding of barriers to broadband adoption. I'm happy we're following regular order and holding a hearing to examine the breadth of the issues on such an important topic. So with that, Mr. Chairman, thanks for doing this. We look forward to working with you on this and other communications issues going forward. And again, thanks to our witnesses, and I yield back a full minute.